So I got this camera a while back. I was looking for a small backpacking sized camera that I could take on the John Muir Trail with me this year. And I came across this camera. I've since tried some other ones and I decided not to take it, but I thought it would be kind of fun to talk about it a little bit because there were some things about it that I really liked, but then a lot of things I really didn't like about it. So when it came out, it was considered the world's smallest 35mm film camera. I'm honestly not sure what the difference between all of them is, but the model I have is GL. I feel like the only difference I've noticed between them is coloring. This one has an orange shutter release, and other ones I've seen have had green and red shutter releases, so I'm not really sure what the difference is. It's guess focus. I don't know if that's actually what it's called, but that's what I call it because you literally have to guess the focus. There's no rangefinder or any kind of split prism or anything like that. You literally just have to look at what you're taking a picture of and hopefully you get it in focus. So that feature can kind of come off as annoying. It also kind of makes it interesting because you never know what you're going to get. You never know how it's going to be in focus, and it really forces you to kind of experiment and understand the fundamentals of aperture and things like that. The whole point of this video, and honestly the point of most of my film camera videos, is not necessarily to tell you everything about the camera, all the facts and all of the, the specs and things like that, because there's people out there who do it a lot better than I do. But what I've noticed is there's a kind of a void of material on giving good examples or developed examples of film cameras and film stocks, and so I thought it would be kind of fun to take this camera for a spin, show you guys some examples of what the photos look like so that you can actually get an accurate, estimation in terms of whether or not you even want to buy it. So what I have with me is the Minox 35 GL, and it's got the FC35 flash unit on it. It's a funny looking little camera, considered the smallest 35mm ever made. I'm not sure if that stands now. I think the Olympus XA may be smaller, but it's definitely a really light camera. I was able to find a copy in really good shape, and yeah, it's been really fun to shoot with. So I just got to Fort Davis. There was a huge sandstorm that came through this afternoon, and so I wasn't really able to shoot with it today, but tomorrow I'll be heading into town and take this camera for a spin. So it's about 10 a.m. Here at Fort Davis. I had a nice little drive around the Skyline Parkway in the Davis Mountains this morning. Yeah, we'll see how it goes. One thing that's been really neat about this camera so far is that it has like this little switch that basically doubles the amount of exposure. Because it's an auto exposure camera, you can't really manually override the exposure, and so it's got this little switch that basically doubles it if you want to expose for the shadows instead of the highlights. So I thought that was kind of cool. Some pictures this morning with this camera. A few notes. I would say the shutter release is really sensitive. I probably shot 3 or 4 completely blank, completely unintentional exposures just because the thing, you just barely tap it, it'll go off. So another thing I noticed was the when I was winding it, it sounded like it was getting caught a little bit, so I may have a few like overlapping exposures. I'm not sure if that was just error on my part in terms of loading the film, or if that's just symptomatic of the camera at large, because I've used it a few times, and even when I've done it, it's made those kinds of sounds, and the exposures usually come out fine, so we'll have to see how they look. I guess by this point you've probably seen them already, but overall, it's a fun camera. If you really want to challenge and you want to be able to interpret focus distances and things like that, this is definitely the camera for you. It's definitely really tiny, definitely a lot of fun to use. But as far as a daily carry, I'm not sure that this is the best camera that you should take your all your memories on. So I will say it does feel kind of cheap. My primary teeny tiny camera is an Olympus XA, and it definitely feels sturdier than this. It definitely feels higher quality than this. And so I'm not quite sure how durable this is, I guess. Even the shutter itself is a magnetic shutter. It feels kind of cheap, and it feels like it could literally fail at any moment. So I'm not sure if I would use this camera long term, but it's definitely fun. It's definitely a challenge. And so, if you could pick one up for maybe under 50 bucks, I would definitely say go for it, especially if you can get it with the flash unit, because those are kind of hard to come by these days. But I hope you enjoyed this. I hope you enjoyed a little presentation of Fort Davis here. It was kind of fun. Thanks for watching. I really appreciate it, and take care.